The plane went silent over the Atlantic. 287 passengers. No radio. No navigation. Total darkness at 38,000 feet. Then a woman in business class stood up and said 5 words that changed everything: "I'm a Navy pilot." Her call sign was Shark. And she knew what was hunting them. Before you watch full story, comment below from which country are you watching. Don't forget to subscribe for more amazing stories. The bourbon costs $18 at 38,000 feet. Jordan Hayes orders it anyway, because people in seat 4A, business class, window, order $18 bourbon without thinking about the price. She's wearing rag and bone jeans that cost more than her first month's Navy salary, a silk blouse from Bergdorf's, and a leather jacket soft enough to sleep in. Her nails are manicured. Her carry-on is Tumi. Her watch is a Tag Heuer that catches light when she turns pages of the hardcover thriller she bought at Hudson News. The Hunt for Red October meets The Bourne Identity, according to the cover copy. She's on page 47 when she finds the first technical error. The author has a Los Angeles-class submarine running silent at 42 knots. Impossible. The cavitation alone would light up every sonar array in 300 miles. Jordan smirks, sips her bourbon, keeps reading. To the businessman in 4B, late 50s, wedding ring, laptop already open before takeoff, she's exactly what she appears to be: young professional, probably finance or consulting, someone who crosses the Atlantic for meetings and thinks nothing of last-minute business class tickets. He tried conversation during boarding. First time to London? No. Business or pleasure? Business. What field? Defense consulting. 3 answers, each shorter than the last. He got the hint. Now they coexist in polite silence, him typing emails, her reading her airport thriller with that slight smirk reserved for people who know better. The flight attendant, Catherine, name tag says, early 50s with the bearing of someone who's handled everything, stops by with the champagne cart. Madam? Champagne before dinner? Jordan accepts with a practiced smile. The kind of smile that says I fly business class regularly and yes, I'll take the free champagne, but no, I don't need to make a big deal about it. British Airways Flight 117. New York JFK to London Heathrow. Boeing 787-9 Dreamliner, 287 passengers and crew, scheduled flight time 6 hours 42 minutes. Departure 21:35 Eastern Standard Time, arrival 9:25 Greenwich Mean Time. Route track November Atlantic track Charlie, standard corridor, cruising altitude 41,000 feet, Mach 0.85. Jordan knows all this without checking the departure screen. 12 years of flying surveillance missions over every ocean on Earth hardwired certain calculations into her brain. She knows this aircraft is burning roughly 2,200 gallons per hour. She knows they're carrying approximately 33,500 gallons of fuel for the crossing. She knows the exact point of no return is 1,847 nautical miles from JFK, the moment when it becomes more efficient to continue to London than turn back to New York. She knows all of this, and she hates that she knows it. Because 6 months ago, Jordan Hayes was Commander Jordan "Shark" Hayes, United States Navy, P-8A Poseidon pilot with Maritime Patrol Squadron 5 out of NAS Jacksonville. 12 years hunting submarines across the Atlantic, Pacific, Arctic, anywhere American interests needed eyes on enemy movements beneath the surface. Her call sign, Shark, came during her 3rd deployment. They were hunting a Russian Akula-class attack sub that had been ghost-tracking the USS Harry S. Truman carrier group. The sub was good. Quiet. Using terrain features of the mid-Atlantic ridge to mask its signature. Jordan's squadron had been searching for 6 days with nothing but ghost returns and acoustic clutter. Jordan was in the right seat, running the sensor suite. She'd been watching the water temperature gradients, the magnetic anomaly detector readings, the pattern of biological returns. After 16 hours on station, she suddenly called out, active sonar, bearing 187, range 12,000 yards, depth 340 meters. Her pilot looked at her like she'd lost her mind. Hayes, there's nothing. There is. Drop buoy pattern Delta 7. Trust me. They dropped the sonobuoys. The active return lit up their displays like Christmas, Russian Akula, exactly where Jordan said it would be, depth and bearing perfect. After they landed, her squadron commander asked how she knew. Jordan couldn't fully explain it. Something about the way a school of fish had scattered. The temperature inversion layer at 300 meters. A gut instinct built from thousands of hours reading ocean data. I just knew where it was. Her backseater, Lt. Marcus Chen, said, Shark doesn't hunt submarines. She just knows where they are. The call sign stuck. For 12 years, Jordan was Shark. She found submarines that everyone else missed. She developed an almost supernatural ability to read water patterns, thermal signatures, magnetic anomalies. She could look at sensor data that looked like noise to everyone else and see the ghost of a submarine hiding in the clutter. Her squadron mates used to joke that she was part fish. That she could smell submarines through 50 feet of titanium aircraft hull. That the ocean just told her its secrets. Until 6 months ago, when the ocean told her something the Navy didn't want to hear. It was supposed to be a routine patrol, tracking Russian submarine movements in the North Atlantic GUK Gap, the strategic choke point between Greenland, Iceland, and the United Kingdom. Jordan was mission commander, flying with a full crew, running a standard sonobuoy pattern off the Reykjanes Ridge. At 14:27 Universal Time Coordinated, her magnetic anomaly detector registered something impossible. The MAD system measures distortions in Earth's magnetic field caused by large metal objects, like submarines. It's old technology, Vietnam era, but still useful for final localization once you know roughly where a sub is. Jordan's MAD detector showed a massive return. Huge. Moving at depth and speed that shouldn't be possible. She called for active sonar. The return signature made her blood cold. It was a submarine, that much was clear. But the acoustic profile matched nothing in the ONI database. Too quiet for Russian. Wrong configuration for Chinese. And moving at 35 knots at 800 meters depth, speeds and depths that conventional submarines simply cannot achieve. Jordan ran the signature analysis 3 times. Each time, the computer came back with the same result, unknown vessel. No match. She immediately called it in. Encrypted satellite link to naval intelligence, priority traffic. We have an unidentified submarine contact, advanced capability, operating in NATO waters. Request guidance. The response came back 47 minutes later, classify all sensor data codeword clearance only. Continue patrol. Do not re-engage contact. You will receive further orders. Jordan stayed on station for another 6 hours. The submarine appeared twice more on her sensors, always at the edge of detection range, always moving in patterns that suggested it was tracking NATO aircraft. When she landed at NAS Keflavik, there were 3 men in suits waiting for her. Defense Intelligence Agency, judging by their credentials and their carefully neutral expressions. They debriefed her for 11 hours. Every detail of the contact. Every sensor reading. Every decision she made. Then they told her the truth, Commander Hayes, you did not detect an unknown submarine. You experienced a sensor malfunction combined with acoustic propagation anomalies common in that region. We've reviewed your data. There was no submarine. Jordan stared at them. I've been flying these missions for 12 years. I know the difference between a sensor glitch and a submarine contact. That was a submarine. Advanced. Foreign. And it was tracking us. Commander, you're exhausted. You've been deployed for 8 months. Sometimes stress and fatigue can affect judgment. My judgment is fine. My sensors are fine. That submarine is real. The lead agent, he never gave a name, leaned forward, Commander Hayes, you're a decorated officer with an exemplary record. Don't ruin that record by pushing this. Some things are above your pay grade. Some things require context you don't have. The best thing you can do for your career and your country is classify this data and move on. Jordan pushed harder. She went to her squadron commander. Her air wing commander. She even tried to contact Vice Admiral Rebecca Stanton, Director of Naval Intelligence, someone she'd briefed multiple times, someone who trusted her judgment. None of them would talk to her. The message was clear: drop it or face consequences. 3 weeks later, Jordan was quietly offered early retirement. 20 years of service credit despite only 12 years in. Full pension. Generous severance package. And a new job already lined up, defense consulting position with Kaleidoscope Strategic Solutions, a contractor that paid triple her Navy salary. All she had to do was resign her commission, sign a non-disclosure agreement about the submarine contact, and walk away. The officer who delivered the offer was Captain Sarah Vance, Naval Personnel Command, someone Jordan had never met before. Vance laid it out clearly: Commander Hayes, you're being offered a generous package. If you decline, you'll be reassigned to a shore billet in San Diego processing paperwork for the next 8 years until you hit your 20. Your flying career is over either way. This way, at least you get paid well for it. Jordan asked one question: that submarine I detected. It's real, isn't it? Vance's expression didn't change. Commander, I have no information about that. I'm just here to discuss your career options. Jordan took the deal. Signed the papers. Resigned her commission. Took the money. She moved to Manhattan. Started the consulting job, mostly PowerPoint presentations for defense contractors about maritime surveillance capabilities. She bought expensive clothes. A nice apartment in Chelsea. Learned to order $18 bourbon on flights without flinching. For 6 months, she's been Jordan Hayes, civilian. No more call sign. No more sonar. No more hunting submarines. But she never forgot that contact. Never stopped wondering what it was. Who operated it? Why her government wanted it buried so badly that they forced her into retirement. And she never stopped being Shark, even if no one around her knows that call sign, or what it meant, or that the woman reading an airport thriller in seat 4A once spent 12 years hunting things that hide in the darkness beneath the waves. The businessman in 4B glances at her book. Any good? Jordan closes it with a slight smile. The author's never been on a submarine. He has a Los Angeles class running at 42 knots. They can barely make 30. You know about submarines? I used to work in defense. Maritime systems. Interesting field. It had its moments. She returns to her book. The businessman returns to his email. Neither of them notices when the cabin lights flicker, just once, barely perceptible, as British Airways Flight 117 passes through 38,000 feet, 784 nautical miles east of St. John's, Newfoundland, exactly halfway across the North Atlantic. Halfway between continents. Surrounded by dark water and darker sky. In the most vulnerable position an aircraft can be, too far from land to turn back, too far from destination to rush ahead, completely dependent on electronics and engines and the competence of 2 pilots flying through air so thin that a single mistake means death for 287 people. Jordan doesn't notice the flicker. But 12 years of instinct registers it anyway, some deep part of her brain that never stopped being Shark, that never stopped scanning for threats. She turns her page and keeps reading. Outside, 38,000 feet below, something moves through the black water. Something that shouldn't exist. Something that knows exactly where British Airways Flight 117 is flying. And in 17 minutes, that something is going to reach up from the depths and teach Jordan Hayes that you can resign your commission, but you can't resign your instincts. Because Shark is about to remember what it means to hunt. The entertainment screens die at 22:43 Eastern Standard Time. All of them. Simultaneously. 300 screens across the aircraft, first class, business, premium economy, every single display goes black in the same instant. Jordan looks up from her book. Around her, passengers groan, complain about losing their movies mid-scene. The man in 4B curses softly as his seatback screen goes dark halfway through mission. Impossible. Typical, someone behind Jordan mutters. 7-hour flight and the entertainment dies an hour in. But Jordan isn't listening to the complaints. She's watching the cabin lights. They flickered again when the screens died. Just barely. Most people didn't notice. But Jordan noticed, because power systems on commercial aircraft are redundant, backup upon backup. Individual screens can fail. Even whole sections can fail. But the entire in-flight entertainment network doesn't just die unless something fundamental is wrong with the electrical system. She closes her book. Looks out the window. Nothing. Just darkness. They're over the Atlantic now, no cities below, no ships, nothing but black water under black sky. The only lights are the aircraft's navigation strobes, flashing red and white against the void. Jordan checks her watch. 22:43, they've been airborne for 68 minutes. Based on departure time, routing, and standard cruising speed, they should be approximately 800 nautical miles east of New York. Still 2,200 miles from London. The most isolated point of the crossing, equidistant from any diversion airport, completely dependent on the aircraft systems to navigate across empty ocean. Something tightens in Jordan's chest. Not panic. Recognition. This is wrong. This is very wrong. Catherine, the lead flight attendant, appears in the aisle, moving through the cabin with practiced efficiency. Ladies and gentlemen, we're experiencing a temporary issue with our entertainment system. Our technical crew is working on it. We apologize for the inconvenience. Technical crew. On a civilian aircraft, that means the pilots are troubleshooting from the cockpit. Which means this isn't just the entertainment system. This is something bigger. Jordan unbuckles her seatbelt. The man in 4B glances at her. Where are you going? Bathroom. She stands, moves toward the front of the aircraft. Not toward the bathroom. Toward the cockpit. She passes through first class, passengers already asleep, masks on, oblivious. The galley area between first class and the cockpit is curtained off. Jordan pauses there, listening. She can hear Catherine's voice, low and urgent, all of them. Everything. Another voice, younger, female, that's what they said. Communication and navigation. They're flying on backup instruments. Jordan's blood goes cold. Communication and navigation. Not a simple system failure. A catastrophic electronics failure. Multiple redundant systems, all failing simultaneously. Before Jordan can process this, the captain's voice comes over the intercom. Professional. Calm. But with an edge, Jordan knows that edge, has heard it in her own voice on missions when something's gone wrong but you can't let the crew know you're worried. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Captain Williams. We're experiencing some minor technical issues with our communication systems. Nothing to be concerned about. We're working to resolve this and will update you shortly. Minor technical issues. Jordan's 12 years of military flying translate that instantly. We have a serious problem but we don't want you to panic. The man in 4B calls out from his seat, what's wrong with the communications? Other passengers start murmuring. Asking questions. The modern traveler's worst nightmare, being out of contact, unreachable, disconnected. Catherine moves through the cabin, everything is fine. The captain is addressing the situation. But Jordan watches Catherine's face. Sees the tension around her eyes. The way her professional smile doesn't quite reach her expression. Catherine knows. The flight attendants have been briefed. This isn't minor. Jordan stands in the galley area, thinking. Processing. Total entertainment failure followed by communication systems failure. That's not coincidence. That's cascading electrical failure, something affecting multiple independent systems simultaneously. On military aircraft, Jordan has seen this once before. During an exercise where they were testing electronic warfare systems. Directed electromagnetic pulse designed to disable enemy electronics. The test aircraft systems failed in exactly this pattern, entertainment and communication first, then navigation, then flight controls. But that was a controlled test. In a military exercise. With everyone expecting it. This is a civilian aircraft. Over the Atlantic. With 287 people on board. Jordan's mind races through possibilities. Option 1, massive electrical failure. Possible, but unlikely, 787s have multiple redundant electrical systems. Battery backup. Generators on both engines. For everything to fail simultaneously would require a catastrophic event. Option 2, lightning strike. Possible, but they haven't encountered any weather. Clear skies for the entire crossing according to the briefing. Option 3, deliberate attack. Electromagnetic pulse. Directed energy weapon. Something designed to disable aircraft electronics without physically damaging the aircraft. Jordan thinks about the submarine. The one she detected 6 months ago. The one with capabilities that shouldn't exist. The one that was tracking NATO aircraft in the North Atlantic. The one that operated in almost exactly this same region. No. That's crazy. Submarines can't reach aircraft at 38,000 feet. Even with directed energy weapons, the atmosphere would scatter any directed pulse long before it reached cruising altitude. Unless the technology is more advanced than Jordan thought. Unless whoever built that submarine also developed a way to project electromagnetic interference at ranges and altitudes previously thought impossible. Jordan shakes her head. She's connecting dots that might not exist. Seeing threats where there might only be technical failure. But 12 years of instinct won't shut up. Something is wrong. Something beyond a simple malfunction. 5 minutes pass. The captain comes back on the intercom. Ladies and gentlemen, Captain Williams again. We're continuing to experience communication difficulties. We've temporarily lost radio contact with air traffic control. Our navigation systems are also experiencing interference. We're flying on backup instruments and expect to resolve this shortly. There is no immediate danger. We have full control of the aircraft. Now passengers are scared. Jordan can hear it, voices rising, questions asked louder. Lost radio contact. Over the ocean. What if they can't fix it? How do they know where we are without navigation? The man in 4B leans into the aisle. Miss? Do you know what's happening? Jordan doesn't answer. She's already moving toward the cockpit. Catherine intercepts her. Ma'am, I need you to return to your seat. What's really happening? Jordan asks quietly. Total electrical failure. Navigation down. Communication blackout. Catherine's professional mask cracks. How did you? Because I'm a pilot. I know what those announcements actually mean. I know the difference between minor technical issue and we're flying blind over the Atlantic. Catherine hesitates. Looks at Jordan, really looks at her, seeing past the expensive clothes and business class seat. The captain didn't authorize me to. I'm not asking what the captain authorized. I'm asking what's really happening. Because I might be able to help. Catherine glances toward the cockpit door. Then, very quietly, everything electronic is failing. Not at once, but in sequence. Entertainment first. Then communications. Then navigation. The pilots are flying manually using backup instruments, airspeed, altitude, attitude indicator. But we're in the middle of the Atlantic. No landmarks. No GPS. No way to contact air traffic control or declare an emergency. What caused it? They don't know. Captain Williams said it's like something is jamming our systems. Interfering with the signals. There it is. The word Jordan was dreading. Jamming. Not failure. Not malfunction. Active interference. Someone, something, is deliberately attacking this aircraft's electronics. Jordan's mind snaps into combat mode. The civilian facade falls away. This isn't a technical problem. This is a tactical situation. I need to talk to the pilots, she says. I can't let you into the cockpit. FAA regulations. My name is Commander Jordan Hayes, United States Navy. Call sign Shark. I flew P-8 Poseidons for 12 years. Anti-submarine warfare and maritime patrol. I've navigated over every ocean on Earth without GPS or radio contact. And I think I know what's causing this. Catherine stares at her. You think you know? Jordan leans closer, voice low and urgent. 6 months ago, I detected an advanced submarine in this exact region. Foreign. Technology that shouldn't exist. When I reported it, I was forced into early retirement. Now your aircraft is being jammed, active electromagnetic interference from an external source, and we're flying over the same coordinates where I found that submarine. Catherine's face goes pale. You think a submarine is doing this? I don't think. I know. I've seen this signature before. Directed electromagnetic pulse, designed to disable aircraft electronics without causing physical damage. When you land, if you land, the official report will say, unexplained electrical failure. Nobody will investigate further. Nobody will know it was a weapon test. A weapon test? We have 287 people on this plane. Which is exactly why they chose a civilian aircraft. Maximum data with minimal suspicion. If they jammed a military plane, we'd immediately treat it as an attack. But a civilian plane? Just an electrical failure. Unfortunate but explainable. Catherine looks toward the cockpit. Back to Jordan. Making a decision. Wait here, she says. Catherine moves to the cockpit door. Picks up the intercom handset. Speaks quietly. Listens. Hangs up. She opens the cockpit door, just a crack, and gestures for Jordan to enter. Jordan steps into the cockpit. The first thing Jordan notices is the silence. Not literal silence, the engines are still running, systems humming, air flowing through vents. But radio silence. The absence of the constant chatter that fills every cockpit, air traffic control updates, weather reports, traffic advisories, position reports. Nothing. Just dead air. Static. The loneliest sound in aviation. Captain Williams sits in the left seat, late 40s, silver hair, 20 years of experience written in the lines around his eyes. His hands are steady on the controls, but his jaw is tight. Next to him, First Officer Chen, younger, maybe 35, Chinese American, focusing intently on the instruments in front of him. Both pilots look exhausted. Not physically tired. Mentally exhausted. The kind of exhaustion that comes from flying manually for extended periods, making constant calculations, second-guessing every decision when you can't verify anything through external systems. Williams glances over his shoulder. Who's this? She says she's a Navy pilot, Catherine explains from behind Jordan. She says she knows what's causing this. We don't have time for, Williams starts. My name is Commander Jordan Hayes, Jordan interrupts, already scanning the instrument panel. Call sign Shark. I flew P-8A Poseidons for 12 years out of NAS Jacksonville. Maritime patrol and anti-submarine warfare. And I'm telling you right now, this isn't a system failure. You're being actively jammed by a submarine directly beneath your flight path. Williams' head snaps toward her. That's impossible. Submarines can't. Not conventional submarines, no. But I detected an advanced submarine in this exact region 6 months ago. Technology that shouldn't exist, speeds and depths beyond any known capability. When I reported it to Naval Intelligence, I was forced into early retirement. Now your entire electrical system is being attacked by directed electromagnetic pulse, and I'm betting it's the same submarine. Chen pulls a paper chart from the side pocket, old school navigation backup. Even if what you're saying is true, why would a submarine attack a civilian aircraft? They're not attacking you, Jordan says, moving closer to the center console. They're testing their capabilities. Seeing if they can disable a commercial aircraft electronically without anyone understanding what happened. You're a data point. A proof of concept. When you land, if you land, the official report will say, unexplained electrical failure caused by atmospheric interference. Nobody will investigate further. Nobody will connect this to a weapon system. And next time they activate this technology, it won't be a test. Williams and Chen exchange glances. Neither wants to believe what Jordan is saying. But neither can explain what's happening to their aircraft through conventional means. How do we fight something we can't see? Williams asks. You don't fight it, Jordan says. You evade it. Electromagnetic interference has range limitations. Get outside that range, and your systems will come back online. But first, you need to know where the source is. And I can tell you exactly where it is. How? Chen asks. Jordan points to the attitude indicator, airspeed display, altimeter, the only instrument still functioning, because I spent 12 years hunting submarines using nothing but dead reckoning, water temperature analysis, and pattern recognition. I can estimate your current position based on time, airspeed, and last known coordinates. I can calculate the probable jamming radius based on signal degradation patterns. And I can plot a course that takes you outside that radius while maintaining safe distance from other traffic corridors. You can do all that without GPS. Williams asks. Captain, I once navigated a damaged P-8 Poseidon 700 miles back to Andersen Air Force Base after taking bird strikes that knocked out our primary navigation system. I used paper charts, a compass, and altitude-compensated airspeed calculations. This is what I do. What I did. Jordan can see Williams calculating, weighing the risk of trusting a stranger against the risk of staying on their current course with failing systems. What's your plan? He finally asks. Jordan moves to the navigation station, a small desk with paper charts, manual plotting tools. She pulls out the North Atlantic plotting chart. What was your last confirmed GPS position before systems started failing? Chen checks his notes, 52 degrees 14 minutes north, 30 degrees 22 minutes west. Time 22:39 Universal Time Coordinated. Jordan does the math in her head, calculations that are instant after thousands of flight hours. Okay. You've been on heading 075 true at Mach 0.85 for approximately 4 minutes since last confirmed position. That puts you roughly here, she marks the chart. 52 degrees 15 minutes north, 29 degrees 48 minutes west. She pulls a ruler across the chart, measuring. The jamming radius for this type of technology is approximately 50 nautical miles. You're currently inside that radius. To break free, you need to turn 20 degrees north and maintain that heading for exactly 12 minutes at current speed. That will take you outside the jamming field while keeping you in your assigned flight level block. Williams looks at the chart. At Jordan. And if you're wrong? If this is just electrical failure and we turn off course? Then I'm just a crazy woman who thinks submarines can jam airplanes, Jordan says. And you're still lost over the Atlantic with failing systems. But if I'm right, if there's a submarine below you projecting directed electromagnetic interference, then your only chance is to get outside its effective range. Because in approximately 8 more minutes, your backup instruments will start failing too. The jamming is progressive. It's designed to disable systems in sequence to avoid triggering automatic emergency alerts. First entertainment. Then communications. Then navigation. Then flight instruments. And finally, flight controls. That gets their attention. Flight controls. Chen breathes. Jordan nods, you'll lose hydraulic pressure. Fly-by-wire systems will degrade. Eventually you'll be flying a 230-ton glider. You have maybe 15 minutes before that happens. Probably less. Williams makes his decision, 20 degrees north. 12 minutes. Chen, plot the course. Chen adjusts the heading. The aircraft banks gently, Jordan can feel it in her inner ear, that slight pressure change that comes with turning at altitude. Heading 095 true, Chen confirms. 12 minutes starting, now. Jordan watches the backup chronometer on the panel. Count seconds. Does the math. At Mach 0.85, they're covering approximately 8.5 nautical miles per minute. 12 minutes equals 102 nautical miles. If her calculations are correct, if the submarine is where she thinks it is, if the jamming radius is what she estimates, then at exactly 12 minutes, they'll cross the threshold. Systems should start recovering. Communication first. Then navigation. Then normal operations. If she's wrong, nothing changes. They continue flying blind. And in a few minutes, they'll start losing flight control systems. Williams breaks the silence. Commander Hayes, how certain are you about this? 80%, Jordan says honestly. I'm making educated guesses based on incomplete data. But in my experience, when all conventional explanations fail, look for unconventional threats. And in this region, at this time, with these symptoms? I'd bet my life there's a submarine below you. You are betting your life, Chen points out. And 286 others. I know. The cockpit falls silent except for engine noise and the quiet hum of backup systems. Jordan watches the chronometer. 9 minutes elapsed. 3 minutes to go. Williams speaks quietly, Commander, why did the Navy force you out? If you detected a submarine with these capabilities, that's intelligence gold. Because someone didn't want it found, Jordan says. Someone with enough authority to bury my report and end my career. I'm still trying to figure out who. And why. You think someone in our government is protecting this submarine? I think someone in our government doesn't want the public to know that a foreign power has deployed a submarine that can electronically disable any aircraft over the Atlantic. Because if that becomes public knowledge, it's not just a military problem. It's an economic catastrophe. Nobody flies. Nobody ships. The entire transatlantic corridor shuts down. Chen curses softly in Mandarin. 11 minutes elapsed. 1 minute to go. Jordan's heart is pounding. This is it. Either her calculations are correct and systems start recovering, or she's wrong and they're about to lose flight controls 800 miles from land. She watches the instrument panel. Waiting. Counting seconds. 30 seconds. 20. 10. Systems should start coming back, now, Jordan says. Nothing. The radio stays silent. Navigation displays stay dark. Entertainment screens remain black. 5 seconds. 10 seconds. 15. Williams looks at her, Commander. Then the entertainment screens flicker. All at once. Throughout the cabin. Jordan can hear passengers exclaiming behind the closed cockpit door. The navigation displays light up. GPS coordinates appear. Flight management computer reboots with a soft chime. And the radio erupts with sound. Airways 117, this is Gander Center, you have been out of contact for 18 minutes, respond immediately. British Airways 117, Gander, what is your status, over. BA 117, Shanwick Radio, we have you as Nordo, please confirm. Multiple controllers, all talking over each other, desperately trying to contact the aircraft that went silent over the Atlantic. Chen reaches for the radio transmit button, but Jordan puts a hand on his arm. Wait. Williams looks at her. Why? Because before you report what happened, you need to understand something. If you tell them the truth, that you were jammed by a submarine, they'll investigate. And the same people who forced me into retirement will bury this. They'll say it was electrical failure. They'll blame atmospheric conditions or system glitch. The submarine will disappear. And next time, it might not be a test. It might be an attack on an aircraft that doesn't have someone who knows how to evade. What are you suggesting? Williams asks. Tell them you experienced temporary electrical failure, 'cause unknown, systems have recovered. File the required reports. But also let me make one phone call. To people who will actually investigate. People who won't bury this. Who? Naval Intelligence. Vice Admiral Rebecca Stanton. She's Director of Naval Intelligence and one of the few people who believed my original report. If I can give her the exact coordinates where your systems failed, where the submarine was operating, she can task assets to hunt it. But she needs to know now, while the trail is fresh. Williams considers this. Looks at Chen. Back to Jordan. Make your call, he says. But first, I'm reporting we're safe. He picks up the radio. Gander Center, British Airways 117, we are safely back in contact. We experienced temporary electrical failure affecting communication and navigation systems. Systems have recovered. We are currently at flight level 410, position 54 degrees 11 minutes north, 28 degrees 04 minutes west. Request verify position and clearance to continue on flight plan. The controller's voice is professional but strained. British Airways 117, Gander, Roger, we have you on radar now, position confirmed. Maintain flight level 410, clear to continue on flight plan. Be advised you will need to file an incident report. What was the nature of the electrical failure? Williams glances at Jordan. She nods slightly. Stick to the script. Gander, 'cause unknown at this time. All systems experienced temporary degradation. We executed turn to the north and systems recovered. We'll have maintenance evaluate on arrival at Heathrow. Roger, BA 117. We'll need a full report. Advise if you need any assistance. Negative, Gander. All systems normal now. BA 117. Williams hangs up the mic, looks at Jordan. Your turn. Make your call. Jordan pulls out her phone. They're still too far over water for cell service, but the aircraft's Wi-Fi has recovered with the other systems. She opens Signal, the encrypted messaging app she uses for sensitive communications. She types a message to the only contact in her list marked urgent, Stanton. Admiral, Jordan Hayes. I'm on BA 117, JFK to London. Aircraft was electronically jammed over North Atlantic. Same signature as the submarine I reported. It's real. It's operational. And it just attacked 287 civilians. We need to talk. Now. She attaches the coordinates, both where systems failed and where they recovered. The data that pinpoints exactly where the submarine was operating. 30 seconds later, her phone vibrates. Voice call. Secure line. Jordan puts it on speaker so Williams and Chen can hear. Admiral Stanton. Admiral, it's Commander Hayes. You got my message? Vice Admiral Rebecca Stanton's voice is sharp, controlled, the voice of someone who's been waiting for this call for 6 months. Commander Hayes, you've been off the grid for 6 months. Now you're calling from a commercial flight that just went Nordo over the Atlantic with coordinates that match your reported submarine contact. Talk to me. It wasn't a communications failure, Admiral. It was that submarine. The one I detected 6 months ago. It's real, it's operational, and it just demonstrated it can disable a civilian aircraft electronically. Complete jamming, entertainment, communications, navigation, the works. We only recovered by flying outside its effective range. There's a pause. Jordan can hear keyboard clicks in the background. Stanton is already pulling data. You're certain it was active jamming? 100%. Progressive system degradation, sequential failure pattern, complete recovery once we cleared the zone. This wasn't mechanical failure or atmospheric interference. This was a directed electromagnetic attack. We've had every available asset searching that region for 6 months, Commander. P-8s, attack subs, SOSUS arrays. Nothing. If this submarine exists, it's a ghost. Because you've been looking for a conventional submarine, Jordan says. This isn't conventional. It's something completely new. And Admiral, it just revealed its position by jamming us. I know exactly where it was 18 hours ago. If you can get a P-8 airborne now, right now, I can guide them to the search area. But the window is closing. Every minute we wait, that sub moves farther from the coordinates. Stanton is silent for a long moment. Jordan can almost hear her thinking, weighing options, calculating risks. Commander, you resigned your commission. You're a civilian. I am. But I'm also the only person who successfully detected this thing twice. Bring me back as a consultant. Contract basis. 1 mission. Find this submarine and prove I wasn't wrong 6 months ago. Another pause. Then, there's a P-8 at Naval Air Station Keflavik in Iceland. VP-5 detachment, your old squadron. I can have them airborne in 2 hours with full sensor suite. Can you get there? Jordan looks at Williams. Captain, what's our ETA to Heathrow? 2 hours 53 minutes, Chen answers. I can catch a military transport from RAF Nordholt to Keflavik, Jordan says into the phone. I'll be there before your P-8 crew finishes their mission briefing. Do it, Stanton says. But Commander, Hayes, if we don't find this submarine, if this turns out to be sensor error or coincidence, your consulting career with the Navy is over before it starts. You'll be the officer who cried wolf twice. No one will ever trust your judgment again. Admiral, I stopped worrying about my career the moment I realized that submarine could kill 287 civilians and no one would even investigate. My career's already over. Now I'm just trying to stop whatever this thing is before it goes from testing to attacking. Understood. I'll have a car waiting for you at Heathrow. Get to Keflavik. Find me that submarine. The line goes dead. Jordan looks at Williams and Chen. Both pilots are staring at her with expressions somewhere between awe and disbelief. Commander Hayes, Williams says slowly, thank you. I don't know if I believe everything you just told us about submarines and conspiracies, but I know you saved this aircraft and everyone on it. Thank me when I find that submarine, Jordan says. Until then, you need to file your incident report. Be accurate but vague, electrical failure, cause unknown, systems recovered. Don't mention submarines or jamming or anything that sounds like a conspiracy theory. Just stick to the facts. What about you? Chen asks. Don't you need to get back to your seat before we land? Jordan smiles slightly. I'm not landing in London. I'm catching a military transport to Iceland to hunt a submarine that technically doesn't exist. But yes, for now, I should probably return to 4A and explain to the businessman next to me why I've been gone for half an hour. She turns to leave, then pauses at the cockpit door. Captain Williams, one more thing. When maintenance inspects your aircraft, they're going to find all systems functioning normally. No physical damage. No explanation for why everything failed. That's intentional. That's the signature of directed electromagnetic pulse, it disrupts without destroying. Remember that when they try to tell you it was just a glitch. Williams nods. Good hunting, Commander. Shark, Jordan corrects with a slight smile. Call sign Shark. She exits the cockpit. Catherine is waiting outside, eyes wide. Is it true? Catherine whispers. A submarine attacked us. Tested its weapons on us, Jordan corrects. But yes. And now I'm going to find it. Jordan returns to seat 4A. The businessman in 4B looks up from his laptop. Everything okay? You were gone for a while. Everything's fine, Jordan says, settling into her seat. Just helping the crew with something. What kind of something? Jordan picks up her thriller novel, finds her page, navigation issue. I used to work in aviation. Huh. Good thing you were here. Yeah, Jordan says quietly, looking out the window at the dark Atlantic below. Good thing. The rest of the flight is uneventful. Systems stay online. The aircraft lands at Heathrow at 9:17 Greenwich Mean Time, 8 minutes early thanks to favorable winds. Jordan doesn't go through customs. A Navy officer in dress blues meets her at the gate with credentials that bypass all security. Within 40 minutes, she's at RAF Nordholt, boarding a C-130J transport headed to Keflavik. She's still wearing her expensive jeans and leather jacket. Still looks like a civilian. But something has changed in her eyes, something that makes the loadmaster on the C-130 take one look at her and immediately address her as ma'am instead of miss. Shark is back. And she's hunting. Naval Air Station Keflavik, Iceland 13 hours after the jamming incident. Jordan walks into the mission briefing room wearing a borrowed flight suit that's slightly too large, the name tape says Morrison and the squadron patch is VP-5, her old unit. She feels like she's stepped back in time, into a life she thought she'd left behind. The P-8A crew is already there, pilot, co-pilot, 2 tactical coordinators, and a sensor operator. All young. All skeptical. They stop talking when Jordan enters. 5 sets of eyes tracking her. Evaluating. The pilot, Lieutenant Commander Steve Ramirez, call sign Razorback, speaks first. So you're the legendary Shark. The one who supposedly found a submarine nobody else could detect. I did detect it, Jordan says calmly, moving to the chart table. And I'm about to prove it. The sensor operator, a young woman, maybe 26, name tape Chen, leans against the wall with arms crossed. We've been flying this patrol area for 6 months. Every sensor suite we have. Defar buoys, Bara, MAD, everything. We've found Russian Akulas, Chinese songs, even tracked a couple of Virginias doing workup exercises. But this mystery submarine you reported? Nothing. Not a single contact. Jordan understands the skepticism. She'd feel the same way. 5 decades of anti-submarine warfare says submarines can't just disappear. They leave signatures, acoustic, magnetic, thermal. You can't hide something as large as a submarine in open ocean, not from modern sensor technology. Except this submarine can hide. And that's what makes it so dangerous. Show me your search patterns, Jordan says. Ramirez pulls up a digital chart on the large display. We've run standard expanding square searches centered on your reported coordinates. We've done barrier patrols across likely transit routes. We've even tried random sweeps hoping to stumble across it. Nothing. Jordan studies the patterns. Professional. Thorough. Textbook anti-submarine warfare. And completely wrong for this target. You're searching for a conventional submarine, she says. One that operates at standard depths, standard speeds, using standard tactics. This submarine doesn't do any of those things. How do you know? Chen asks. You had one brief contact 6 months ago. I had 3 contacts. Each one deeper and faster than the last. The final contact showed it running at 35 knots at 800 meters depth. That's physically impossible for any known submarine. The pressure alone should crush the hull. The cavitation should make it light up every sonar array in the Atlantic. So what are you saying? Ramirez asks. Some kind of alien technology? I'm saying this is technology we don't understand yet. Advanced hull materials, new propulsion system, something that lets it operate in regimes we thought impossible. And if you keep searching for it where conventional submarines operate, you'll never find it. The second tactical coordinator, older, maybe 35, name tape Williams, speaks up, "Okay, Commander. You've got our attention. Where do we search?" Jordan moves to the chart table. Pulls out the coordinates from the British Airways jamming incident. Marks them with a grease pencil. The submarine was here 18 hours ago. Effective jamming range was approximately 50 nautical miles, which means it was positioned within this radius. She draws a circle. It was jamming for approximately 18 minutes before we evaded. During that time, it was stationary. You can't maintain effective jamming while maneuvering at speed. So it was dead in the water? Williams asks. Not dead. Hovering. Maintaining depth and position while it conducted its test. That tells us something important. This submarine has exceptional depth control and station-keeping ability. Much better than conventional boats. Jordan traces a line on the chart. After we evaded and systems came back online, the submarine would have detected that its test succeeded. It got the data it wanted. Now it needs to clear the area before someone comes looking. Where would it go? Deep water, Chen says, seeing where Jordan is going. Away from shipping lanes and patrol areas. Exactly. And there's only one place in this region that offers maximum depth with minimum traffic. Jordan's finger moves across the chart to the Reykjanes Ridge. The western slope of the ridge. Deep water, complex acoustic environment, enough terrain features to mask a submarine signature. Ramirez studies the chart. That's a big area. We could search for days and find nothing. Not if we narrow it down, Jordan says. She pulls out a calculator, starts working through numbers. The submarine was here at 22:45 Universal Time Coordinated yesterday. It's now 17:30 Universal Time Coordinated today. That's 18 hours 45 minutes. At maximum silent running speed, let's say 12 knots to avoid detection, it could have traveled 225 nautical miles. But it won't go maximum distance. It'll go to the closest optimal hiding position. She measures distances on the chart. Marks a point. Here. Western slope of Reykjanes Ridge, depth contour between 1,000 and 1,500 meters. Complex bathymetry, low traffic, outside normal patrol areas. If I were commanding that submarine, this is exactly where I'd go. The crew exchanges glances. Jordan can see them calculating, deciding whether to trust the crazy ex-commander who thinks she can find invisible submarines. Ramirez makes the call, "All right, Commander. We'll fly your search pattern. But if we don't find anything in the first 2 hours, we're reverting to standard patrol areas. Fuel costs money, and so does flight time." "Deal," Jordan says. "But you'll find it in the first hour. Maybe less." 20 minutes later, Jordan is back in AP-8 Poseidon. Not as mission commander. Not even as a crew member. As a consultant. A civilian observer sitting at the spare tactical station, watching over Chen's shoulder as she operates the sensor suite. But it feels like coming home. The P-8 is based on the Boeing 737 airframe, civilian aircraft converted for military use. But inside, it's all business. Sensor stations, sonobuoy launchers, communication systems. The smell of electronics and coffee and the particular scent of military-grade equipment. Jordan closes her eyes for a moment. Remembers 12 years of this. Hundreds of missions. Thousands of hours hunting things that hide in darkness. She never thought she'd miss it. But she does. Approaching search area, Ramirez announces. Descending to 1,000 feet for mad run. The Magnetic Anomaly Detector, MAD, is old technology, Vietnam era, but still useful for final localization. It detects distortions in Earth's magnetic field caused by large metal objects. Like submarines. Jordan leans over Chen's station. Start with a parallel search pattern along the depth contour. Deploy DFAR buoys in a grid pattern, 2-mile spacing. Chen looks at Ramirez. He nods. The P-8 drops lower, begins running a precise search pattern over the western slope of the Reykjanes Ridge. Sonobuoys drop from the aircraft at regular intervals, each one a sophisticated listening device that transmits acoustic data back to the aircraft. Jordan watches the displays. Acoustic returns. Water temperature gradients. Biological noise, whales, dolphins, fish schools. Everything that creates sound in the ocean. She's looking for what doesn't belong. The ghost in the machine. 1 hour passes. Nothing but normal ocean sounds. Coming up on 2-hour mark, Ramirez says. Commander Hayes, we need to wrap this up soon. Give me 15 more minutes, Jordan says. Run one more leg along the 1,200-meter contour. Ramirez sighs but complies. The P-8 banks, lines up for another pass. Jordan stares at the sensor displays. Come on. Where are you? I know you're here. I can feel you. And then, there. A faint magnetic anomaly. Barely detectable. Most operators would dismiss it as sensor noise or geological feature. But Jordan has been doing this for 12 years. She knows the difference between noise and signal. Mad contact, she says quietly. Bearing 267, approximately 1,100 meters depth. Chen checks her displays. I don't see anything. Acoustic is clean. Because it's not making noise. It's sitting on the bottom, using terrain features to mask its signature. The only reason we're getting mad is because we're directly overhead. Deploy active sonar. Now. Active sonar will tell them we found them, Williams objects. They already know we're here, Jordan says. We've been flying search patterns for 2 hours. But they don't know we've found them. Active sonar will confirm it. Ramirez makes the call, deploy active. Single ping. The P-8's powerful sonar sends a single acoustic pulse into the water. The sound wave travels down, hits the ocean floor, reflects back. And something else reflects back too. The return signature makes everyone in the cockpit freeze. It's massive. Shaped wrong. Acoustic profile that matches nothing in any database. Holy Christ, Chen breathes. That's a submarine. Jordan stares at the display. She's seeing the same signature she saw 6 months ago. The same impossible readings. Depth, size, hull configuration, all of it wrong according to every known submarine design. That's the submarine, she says. The one I reported. The one they said didn't exist. It's running, Williams announces. Bearing 240, increasing speed. On the display, the contact is moving, fast. Too fast for something that size at that depth. 20 knots, Chen reports. 25. 30. It's accelerating. Impossible, Ramirez mutters. Nothing can accelerate that fast at that depth. This thing can, Jordan says. She's watching the contact with Predator's eyes. It knows we found it. Now it's trying to lose us. Stay with it. Deploy Bara pattern. Chen launches a pattern of sonobuoys designed to track fast-moving contacts. The buoys transmit continuous acoustic data, painting a picture of the submarine's movement. For 15 minutes, they track it. The submarine runs deep, runs fast, uses terrain features to break contact. But Jordan anticipates every move. She's inside its OODA loop, observe, orient, decide, act. Every time the submarine maneuvers, Jordan has already told Ramirez where it's going to go. How are you doing this? Chen asks. How do you know where it's going? Because I think like a submarine captain, Jordan says. If I were running from AP-8 in this terrain, I'd use that ridge to break contact, then turn east into deeper water. Watch. It's going to turn, now. On the display, the submarine turns east. Exactly as Jordan predicted. Okay, that's just creepy, Chen mutters. They track for another hour. Finally, Ramirez makes the call, we're at bingo fuel. We have to RTB. Return to base. The words every operator hates hearing during an active contact. We've got enough data, Jordan says. Acoustic signature, magnetic profile, speed and depth capabilities. Admiral Stanton can use this to task attack subs to hunt it. We proved it's real. That's what matters. The P-8 turns for Keflavik. Jordan watches the contact fade on the displays as they climb and turn away. The submarine keeps running. Keeps diving. Disappears into the darkness it came from. But for the first time in 6 months, Jordan has proof. Real, verifiable, recorded proof that the submarine exists. Shark found her prey. Again. Pentagon, Arlington, Virginia 3 days later. Jordan stands in a classified briefing room wearing a borrowed Navy uniform. They wouldn't let her brief Joint Chiefs of Staff in civilian clothes. The uniform feels strange now. Too tight in some places, too loose in others. Like wearing someone else's skin. Vice Admiral Stanton sits at the head of the table. Surrounding her, 2 generals, 3 admirals, and a civilian from the Office of the Director of National Intelligence. All of them watching Jordan with expressions ranging from skepticism to hostility. Stanton begins, gentlemen, 3 days ago, Commander Hayes, currently serving as a civilian consultant, successfully located and tracked an unidentified submarine operating in the North Atlantic. This is the same submarine she reported 6 months ago. The same submarine we forced her to classify and forget about. One of the generals, 2 stars, Army, nameplate, Morrison, interrupts, Admiral, we've reviewed the data. What you're showing us is sensor artifacts and acoustic anomalies. There's no proof this is an actual submarine. Jordan speaks for the first time, General, I tracked that contact for 73 minutes. It maneuvered. It evaded. It demonstrated speeds and depths no known submarine can achieve. That's not sensor artifacts. That's a real contact with capabilities we don't understand. Or it's a natural phenomenon you misinterpreted, Morrison says. The ocean produces all kinds of false contacts. Whales, thermal layers, geological features. I've been flying anti-submarine missions for 12 years, Jordan interrupts. I know the difference between a whale and a submarine. And I know the difference between acoustic noise and a hull signature. Then explain to me how a submarine achieves 35 knots at 1,100 meters depth, Morrison challenges. Explain the physics that allows that. I can't, Jordan admits. But 6 months ago, I couldn't explain how a submarine could electronically jam a civilian aircraft at 38,000 feet either. Yet it happened. British Airways Flight 117 lost all electrical systems for 18 minutes. 287 people were in danger. And when we evaded outside the jamming radius, systems recovered. That's not coincidence. That's proof. A different admiral, 3 stars, submarine force commander, leans forward, Commander Hayes, I've read your file. Excellent record. Stellar performance reviews. Multiple commendations. Which is why I'm troubled by your insistence on pursuing what appears to be a technical glitch as evidence of a conspiracy. It's not a conspiracy, Jordan says. It's a cover-up. 6 months ago, I detected this submarine and reported it through proper channels. Instead of investigating, I was forced into early retirement. Someone buried my report. Someone with enough authority to end my career. And that same someone allowed this submarine to operate freely for 6 months, developing and testing weapons that threaten civilian aircraft. That's a serious accusation, the civilian from ODNI says. You're suggesting someone in the defense establishment is deliberately allowing a foreign submarine to operate in NATO waters. I'm suggesting someone prioritized secrecy over safety, Jordan says. I don't know why. I don't know who. But I know that when I reported this submarine, I was silenced. And 3 days ago, when I found it again, suddenly everyone wants to listen. Why? What changed? Stanton answers, what changed is that you found it with witnesses. A P-8 crew that recorded everything. Data that can't be dismissed or classified or buried. Commander Hayes, you forced this issue into the light. Morrison stands, this is a waste of time. We're treating sensor artifacts as a national security threat based on the testimony of one former officer who has a pattern of seeing submarines where none exist. Sit down, General, Stanton says quietly. Morrison glares at her. Stanton's face is steel. Sit down. Morrison sits. Stanton opens a folder. For the past 72 hours, I've been conducting my own investigation. I wanted to know why Commander Hayes was forced into retirement. I wanted to know who buried her report. And I found something interesting. She slides documents across the table. Commander Hayes's report was received by my office 6 months ago. Standard classified traffic. I personally reviewed it and ordered a full investigation. But before that investigation could begin, I received orders from the Office of the Secretary of Defense to cease all inquiries and classify the matter as SPCAT, Special Category Intelligence. Who signed the order? The Submarine Force Admiral asks. Deputy Secretary of Defense Richard Callaway, Stanton says. A political appointee with no intelligence background and no apparent reason to be involved in submarine detection matters. I found that odd. So I dug deeper. She slides more documents. Callaway has financial connections to a defense contractor called TerraShield Systems. They specialize in electronic warfare and counter-submarine systems. And 3 months before Commander Hayes detected this submarine, TerraShield received a contract worth $2.3 billion to develop next-generation anti-submarine warfare technology. The room goes silent. You're saying Callaway buried the submarine report to protect a defense contract, the ODNI civilian asks. I'm saying Callaway knew about this submarine before Hayes detected it, Stanton says. I'm saying he wanted it kept secret because discovery would have forced questions about how a foreign power developed technology we're paying billions to defend against. And I'm saying that when Hayes found it, Callaway chose to protect his contractor's profit margin instead of 287 innocent civilians on a transatlantic flight. Morrison's face has gone pale. Admiral, those are explosive allegations. They're facts, Stanton says. And I've forwarded all of this to the Inspector General and the Senate Intelligence Committee. Deputy Secretary Callaway is currently suspended pending investigation. Court-martial proceedings will begin next week for anyone in the chain of command who knew about the cover-up. Jordan stares at Stanton. She knew the Admiral believed her. But she didn't know Stanton would go this far. Commander Hayes, Stanton says, the Navy owes you an apology. You were right. We were wrong. And we're prepared to make this right. I'm authorized to offer you reinstatement at your former rank with full back pay. Additionally, I'm creating a new anti-submarine warfare unit, dedicated to tracking and neutralizing advanced threats like this submarine. I want you to lead it. Jordan lets the words sink in. Reinstatement. Command of a new unit. Everything she lost, handed back to her. She should feel vindicated. Triumphant. Proven right. Instead, she just feels tired. Admiral, she says slowly, I appreciate the offer. I really do. But I need to ask you something. If I hadn't been on that British Airways flight, if I hadn't been in the exact right place at the exact right time, would you be offering me this? Or would that submarine still be operating freely while Calloway and his friends at Terra Shield collected their billions? Stanton meets her eyes. Honestly, I don't know. I'd like to think I would have continued pushing. But you're right, without concrete proof, without witnesses and recorded data, this submarine would have remained classified and buried. Jordan nods. That's what I thought. So what are you saying? Stanton asks. You're declining the offer. I'm saying I'll consult, Jordan says. I'll help you find this submarine. I'll help you sink it. I'll provide whatever expertise you need. But I won't rejoin the Navy. Because the Navy I served silenced me instead of listening. And the only reason you're listening now is because I forced you to. The room is silent. No one argues. No one objects. Because everyone in this room knows Jordan is right. I understand, Stanton says quietly. The offer stands if you change your mind. I won't, Jordan says. But Admiral, there is something I want. Name it. Access. To all intelligence on this submarine. To all future detection data. To any operations planned against it. I won't wear the uniform anymore, but I'm the only person who successfully tracked this thing twice. You need my expertise. And I need to see this through. I need to know that what happened to me doesn't happen to the next officer who finds something inconvenient. Stanton looks at the others at the table. No one objects. Done, Stanton says. Full access. Consultant status with SPCAT clearance. You'll be read into every operation. And when we find it? Jordan asks. When we have a targeting solution. We'll destroy it, the submarine force admiral says. This thing has demonstrated hostile capabilities. It's a clear and present threat to civilian and military aircraft. We'll track it, corner it, and put a torpedo into it. Jordan nods. Good. Because 287 people almost died because someone cared more about money than lives. That can't happen again. She stands. The meeting is over. She said what she needed to say. As she turns to leave, Morrison calls out, Commander Hayes. For what it's worth, you were right. And I apologize for doubting you. Jordan pauses at the door. Looks back at the general who tried to dismiss her findings as sensor artifacts. General, she says, I don't need your apology. I need you to listen the next time someone reports something impossible. Because in my experience, impossible just means we haven't figured it out yet. She walks out. Manhattan, 6 months later. Jordan's apartment, evening. The classified brief arrives via secure courier. Jordan signs for it, waits for the courier to leave, then opens the sealed envelope. Classification, top secret // SPCAT // NOFORN. Subject, neutralization of unknown submarine designated Ghost. Summary, following 6 months of coordinated tracking efforts by U.S. and NATO submarine forces, contact designated Ghost was successfully localized in the Erminger Basin south of Iceland. USS Seawolf, SSN 21, achieved firing solution at 0347 UTC and engaged with 2 Mk-48 ADCAP torpedoes. Both weapons impacted target. Sonar confirmed hull breach and catastrophic flooding. No survivors recovered. Debris analysis indicates advanced composite hull construction and propulsion system of unknown origin, consistent with specifications reported by Commander J. Hayes. Full technical assessment ongoing. Threat status, neutralized. Recommendation, continued vigilance for similar capabilities among adversary submarine forces. Enhanced sensor development to detect advanced stealth technologies. Jordan reads it twice. Then closes the folder. Ghost is dead. The submarine that forced her into retirement, that jammed a civilian aircraft, that demonstrated capabilities no one thought possible, destroyed. She should feel satisfaction. closure, victory. Instead, she just feels empty. She pours herself a drink, expensive bourbon, the kind she can afford now with her consulting fees. Walks to the window of her Chelsea apartment. Looks out at the city lights, the distant darkness of the harbor. Somewhere out there, the ocean continues. Indifferent to human concerns. Hiding secrets in its depths. Revealing them only when it chooses, to those who know how to listen. Her phone rings. Stanton. Admiral, Jordan answers. Commander Hayes. I assume you received the brief. Just finished reading it. Ghost is dead. Congratulations. Congratulations to you, Stanton says. You found it twice. You proved it existed. You forced us to act. This is your victory. Doesn't feel like victory, Jordan says. Feels like we killed something we didn't understand. We never found out who built it. Where it came from. Why it was testing electronic warfare systems on civilian aircraft. The debris analysis might tell us more, Stanton says. We're working with DARPA to reverse engineer the propulsion system. Early results suggest technology at least a decade ahead of anything in our inventory. Which means whoever built it has more, Jordan says. Ghost wasn't a prototype. It was operational. There are others. Stanton is silent for a moment. Then, that's the concern. Yes. And that's why you're calling. The Navy is creating a permanent task force. Advanced Submarine Threat Assessment Group. Dedicated to detecting and tracking next-generation submarine capabilities. I want you to lead it. I already told you. Civilian consultant, Stanton interrupts. Not military. You don't wear the uniform. You don't follow the chain of command. You report directly to me. Full autonomy. Unlimited budget. Access to every sensor and asset we have. You hunt submarines your way, without interference. Jordan stares out at the harbor. Thinking. And if I find something you don't want to hear, she asks. Something politically inconvenient. Someone tells you to bury it. Then I'll back you, Stanton says. What happened with Calloway can't happen again. I won't let it. Calloway's court-martial. How did that turn out? Guilty on all counts. 20 years at Leavenworth. TerraShield lost their contract. Several executives are under investigation. We're cleaning house, Commander. The people who buried your report are gone. The ones who remain know what happened when we ignored you. Jordan sips her bourbon. Considers. She could say no. Stay in her comfortable civilian life. Consulting fees. Expensive apartment. No responsibility beyond the next PowerPoint presentation. But Ghost proved something, the ocean still has secrets. Still hides threats. And someone needs to find them before they kill people. I'll do it, Jordan says. But on my terms. I don't attend Pentagon meetings. I don't brief generals. I hunt submarines. Period. You want my expertise, you let me work. Agreed, Stanton says immediately. I'll have contracts drawn up. Welcome back, Shark. Stanton hangs up. Jordan stands at the window, drink in hand, looking at the darkness beyond the city lights. Shark is back. Not in uniform. Not in the Navy. But hunting again. Because call signs don't retire. They just wait. Patient and silent. Until the ocean needs them again. 2 years later P-8A Poseidon over the Arctic Ocean. Jordan sits at the sensor operator station, watching acoustic returns from the ice edge. The crew, they're all younger than her now, watches her work with quiet respect. They've heard the stories. The woman who found the submarine no one else could detect. Who proved it existed when everyone said she was crazy. Who refused promotion and command to hunt her own way. They call her Shark. Even though she's civilian. Even though she doesn't wear rank or insignia. The call sign followed her out of the Navy and into her new life. Contact, Chen, a different Chen, younger, maybe 24, announces. Bearing 014, depth 450 meters, speed 12 knots. Jordan studies the signature. Russian Yazan class. Advanced but conventional. Not the threat they're looking for. Mark it and continue pattern, she says calmly. The P-8 continues its patrol. Hours of routine work. Searching for shadows in the deep. This is Jordan's life now. No parades. No medals. No promotions. Just the work. Hunting submarines that hide in the darkness. Finding threats before they become attacks. Some people might call it lonely. Might say she gave up her career for nothing. But Jordan knows better. She's exactly where she belongs. Doing exactly what she was born to do. 6 months ago, she detected another anomaly. Another impossible signature. She's been tracking it ever since, quietly, methodically, building the case. Soon she'll have enough data to brief Stanton. And then they'll hunt again. Because the ocean is full of secrets. And Shark is the one who finds them. The man in seat 4A couldn't do this. The woman in expensive jeans and leather jacket couldn't do this. The commander forced into retirement couldn't do this. But Shark can. Call signs don't retire. They evolve. They adapt. They find new ways to hunt. And beneath every civilian flight path, beneath every shipping lane, beneath every assumption about what's possible and what's not, the ocean waits. Silent. Patient. Hiding its secrets. Until someone who knows how to listen comes looking. And Shark is always listening.